Yeah. I've got wasps flying around. I might have to go inside the house. I do not like wasps, and I'm out here by the pond, and we seem to have a little wasp nest somewhere nearby. So I'm going to apologize in advance if I need to run in the house. I've also got my two dogs here, and they are a little rambunctious. So yeah, I think there's more wasps than I thought. I do have my my tick repellent spray on, and I don't know if it's going to help with the wasps or not. We'll see. Anyway, hi you guys. I cannot see the chat unless, let me see if I can bring it up on my computer here. Let's see. Oh, okay. I think I might be able to do this. Oh, okay. I think I might be able to do this. All right. Yeah, guys, I'm so sorry. I might have to head in the house here because I've got them floating around. The tick repellent isn't good for wasps, maybe, huh? We'll see here. All right. I still can't see the chat, so I'm just going to go ahead and start talking. And then if I don't know how I'm going to see questions here, but oh, here's the chat. Yay! Awesome. Hi, Cindy. Hi, Julie. Thank you for being here, guys. Hi, Amy and Ida. Um, Yay! All right. Good. It's Christy from New York. Hi. And aromatic serendipity. Hi. I love aromatic serendipity. All right. I didn't get a whole lot of questions, at least not that I'm aware of. I'm really terrible about looking at where I need to go look, but one of the questions I always get, both in my natural living community and even in my student groups, especially about the herbs, is how do you identify the plants properly? Like, how do you make sure that you have a proper 100% plant guaranteed? Oh, hey, it's Stephanie. Oh, that's right, Stephanie, good. Hi, Michelle. Um, but the question here is today, how do you make sure you've got a proper identification? So let's just say that you are out and you are trying to locate, I'm going to use the example of comfrey because one of my readers wrote to me and mentioned a horrible story where two people were out foraging for comfrey, and they ended up harvesting what they thought was comfrey, and they ended up with foxglove. And foxglove has a similar growth pattern to comfrey. Before the flower stalk shoots up, and they ended up dying. So they drank this tea that they thought was comfrey, and they ended up dying. Oh, thank you, Jackie. I washed it yesterday. It always looks a little better after I wash it. Hi, Nancy. All right. So it's really important to identify plants properly. Another one of my students wrote in and she was wondering about St. John's wort. And she said that she had found two plants with similar flowers and she didn't know which one was St. John's wort or not. And so we had a little chat about that. But things can often look alike. And if you don't make a proper identification, you're going to have some issues, right? It's just the way it is. Oh, hi, Tamara. I'm glad you guys are coming on here. So the first thing I want to mention is having some good field identification guides for your area. And I'm just going to share with you here. We have a man who lives in here in Orofino. Actually, he lives up in the mountains on the other side of town. So he's about 45 minutes away from me. But he is a forager, and he was kind enough to put this list together for us here of edible foods that we can harvest here. So I'm ticking those off my list as we go. But for your area, whatever area that is, so I've seen people here from you know, New York, and I think we've got Massachusetts. Oh, good. Tor's here from Troy, Idaho. And Tor, you probably know a lot of these plants here. I should maybe publish these. And, oh, I can't, here we go. I can scroll back up. Oh, good. North Carolina. California, Tucson, Arizona. So as you can see, we have a lot of different bioregions represented just in our little chat here today. So what you want to do is you want to find a good field guide for your area. Oklahoma. So here, I love these Peterson field guides, all right? So this one is, and I love this one actually, no matter what part of the US you're in, it's pretty broad-based, even though it says for Eastern and Central North America, but this is focusing on medicinal plants. And I really like this little guide here. Really, really helpful. These are small. The Peterson guides are small. You can tuck them into a backpack, and you can just check out, you know, what you think the plant might be. And I just want to mention, here's another one, Field Guide to Western Medicinal Plants and Herbs. So this is another one I really love. And then the Peterson guides also just come in separate bioregions. They even actually have some that are narrowed down. So like for the Southeast, the Northwest, whichever. Now, I used to live down in the Mojave Desert, as many of you know, and I loved these books by Michael Moore. I had them out all the time and brought them with me, but I have several of his. This one is Medicinal Plants of the Mountain West, and it's Michael Moore. His books are great, and he's also done bioregional foraging books, and I love his sense of humor. His sense of humor shines through in his writing, so not only is he informative, but he's very funny. So, and then another man who I really, really think is great is Samuel Thayer. John Slattery's another one, by the way, another really good author of these books. But this is Samuel Thayer's book, The Forager's Harvest, and I find that he does a really nice job of identifying the plants and talking about that. So what I like to say is with your field guides, what you're doing is you are pre-identifying the plant. So when I'm out foraging and I find an unusual or different plant, unless I'm 100% sure that I've got an accurate identification with a field guide, then what I do is I just say, well, I'm not sure, and I've pre-identified it. All right. And this next part I'm going to tell you is really, really important for identifying plants. And that is that you want to watch the plant over the course of the year. And this is the powerful thing about growing your own plants, because you get a chance to actually watch that plant from seed to little sprout, to seedling, to sprout, to, you know, the whole entire maturation process of the plant. And if it's a biennial plant like mullein, then you want to plan to watch it over a period of 2 years. You know, you're going to see some different things. But doing that is going to allow you to see the plant in its flowering stage. And the flowering stage is the stage that's going to give you the most information about the plants. And I probably should just do a regular YouTube video on this too. It's really that important. So one of the things you want to be looking at when you are identifying plants are the leaves. Are they alternate? Are they opposite? Are they in a whorl pattern? What do they look like? Are they lobed? Are they oval? Are they oblong? And I will definitely, guys, be checking questions. So if you've got questions, you can just pop them in there. But the leaves are important. And then, so you get these little sprouts and the seedlings coming up. You can't tell what you've got there, usually from a seedling, unless you are very, very familiar with that plant. The other thing is the flowers. The flowers are super important. You can tell if they are regular flowers or irregular flowers. A regular flower is going to be symmetrical, and an irregular one is not. So you're going to be able to see some differences. And right here, because I'm not going to get deeply into botany, I want to share one more book with you. Ooh, that fly, that moss, wasp. Ooh, go away. Ah. This book is one that I highly, highly, highly recommend if you want to start foraging and get into plant identification. This is Thomas L. Pell's book, Botany in a Day. He does a really, really nice job of digging into the plant families. So let's just say you want to know about the Rosacea family or the Malvaceae family or the Papaveraceae family or any of the families. He's got them all in here. And he actually gives you examples of what members of that plant family are going to look like. And he talks to you about the leaves and the flowers and, you know, everything. So there you go. That's a really good book to have as well. So step one is you want to pre-identify using your field guide, and if you've got your botany book, this will be helpful too. Step two, really take a close look at the leaves and the flowers. You really need to like look closely and really examine. So it's probably my hair floating around. I'm paranoid I've got a wasp on me. And then the second step, you want to confirm. Confirm your identification. And you're going to do this by basically looking into a number of field guides. If you've got a really good Facebook group that you belong to, I suggest those. I'm a member of, I need to put these in the chat, which ones I'm members of. But you want the ones that aren't necessarily for herbalists. You want the ones that are for that have botanists in them, because they do a great job of giving you a good identification. You can go talk to a cooperative extension person if you have one nearby. We don't have one nearby here where I live, so at least not one that I'm aware of. And so I've actually taken plants down to the nursery before, and these people are elderly and they've lived here all their lives, and generally I get a good positive identification. But I want to tell you a story that happened one time. I took I had a plant growing in the back that, again, I thought was comfrey. Comfrey has a lot of lookalikes, you guys, some dangerous and some not. And so I took this plant with the flower down to the nursery just to be sure that it was comfrey. And I was told, yes, that's comfrey. So I posted a picture of it in my newsletter and mentioned, oh, this is comfrey, wild comfrey growing in my yard. And I got a note from a lady who's now a good friend of mine, over in Julietta, and we've had lots of conversations via email about the plants, but she wrote to me and she says, Heidi, I don't think that's comfrey. And I wrote her back and I said I got a positive identification on it, and it matches my field guides, what I could tell. And she goes, no, that is what's called hound's tongue, and hound's tongue is very invasive. And she says, look it up. So I went and I looked it up, and sure enough, the flower was hound's tongue. It was a hound's tongue flower. Everything else looked exactly like comfrey. And then I did some further research and found out it's a close relative of comfrey, and you can use the leaves similarly, but the thing is so invasive, you don't want it growing in your yard because it puts out these spiny little seeds that you cannot get out of anything. Like if they get on your boots, forget it. They're on your muck boots forever, or your jeans or your clothes, and they float around and they just get into everything. So it's not a good plant to have around. But I was so proud because I thought I had found comfrey. And that's what happens when you move to a new area. You know, we've been here 4 years now. I'm finally starting to feel pretty comfortable with many identifications. And when we first moved here, I was like, whoa, this is like a strange new world, because was used to the Mojave Desert, and I'm very comfortable foraging in the Mojave Desert. And I'm becoming more comfortable here. So the plant identification is very important. And then if you're not sure, if you're not 100% sure, just continue watching the plant. Don't force it. The answer will eventually come to you. And the next thing I want to talk about are just some quick mistakes, you guys. And I actually just mentioned one that I made, and that is don't take someone's word for it necessarily, okay? Always go and do your due diligence and check things out. But you definitely want to get multiple resources telling you that is what it is, okay? And again, the Latin name, I always say this to everybody, but the Latin name is super important. If you can identify it by the Latin name, you really need to do that. The other mistake that people make is relying on just one source, especially if you're not 100% sure. Please don't rely on just one source. You want to be sure that you've got multiple sources for your identification. This next one, depending on the internet, you guys, or even the plant identification apps. Some of them are really terrible. Some of them are just like ridiculously awful. And then Googling things or looking at Google images, that's a good way to start. But don't take people's word for it. We have people in our natural living community who will put pictures in there. What is this plant? And it's really blurry, or it's just a picture of the leaves, and people are trying to guess what it is. And please, 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 please don't do that. That's just not a good way to identify plants. You definitely want to go to a good source, all right? And I'm not saying that Facebook groups are not good sources, but in general, seriously, for plant identification, unless that is what the group is for, they are not a good source. So don't do that. And then the final thing is basically not knowing about deadly plants. Every single person who goes out foraging and for edible plants or for medicinal plants, you guys, you have a responsibility to know what the toxic and deadly plants that are growing in your area are. You really do. I mean, it's horrible to it would be horrible to do what the couple with the foxglove did. You know what I mean? Or to give it to somebody else. Wouldn't that be even worse? Well, dying is pretty bad, but you know, it's it's not good. So always be sure of what you've got going on. That was my quick little spiel on Plant Identification 101. And I'm going to scroll back up here and see if there are any questions about this or any other herbal topic before we sign off for this Tuesday's chat. And I made it through without getting stung by a wasp. Woohoo! Luckily, if I did get stung by a wasp, I know where all my plantain is. And that's a good thing to know. Let's see here. And hopefully I don't speak too soon. You know how it is when you say, oh, good, I'm safe, and then things happen. Let's see here. Let's see here. Oh yeah, Lois says she's definitely going to get one of the Peterson guides. Yeah, they're really good. And they look like this. You can get them on Amazon. They're not expensive. They're hefty little tomes. They're small, but I think this was $27 as far as the retail price. But no, I highly recommend those. Yeah, Exploring God's Creation has the Peterson guides. They're very good. Oh, we've got the Bay Area. That's such a beautiful place. Uh, let's see. Alaskan Mom, good morning from Alaska. Yay! Where should one start who just learned that plants are medicinal, but who has never foraged before? This is where you're in for a fun learning experience. If you, yeah, if you, because literally I was in that place a long time ago. Like I used to go out with my dad as a little girl, and we'd go foraging and again down in the Mojave Desert, and he would always quiz me, what plant is that? Whoops, what plant is this? What plant is that? And we always got our elderberry and sarvice berries and other things, and pinyon nuts and things like that. But I didn't know they were medicinal either. I just thought they were good for food. And when I found out that herbs were medicinal, I got all excited, and that's when I just went to, okay, I'm going to buy all these herbs. And then I looked around the desert where I lived, and I thought to myself, wait a minute, that Mormon tea or that Brigham tea over there is bitter and tannic. So I bet it has medicinal qualities. And so I started looking into the medicinal qualities of the Mojave Desert plants, and sure enough, oh my goodness, whoa, you've got a whole medicine chest there. That's going to happen to you, Alaskan Mom. I'm not sure what your name is. I'll just call you Alaskan Mom. I think that's pretty cool. But just get your guides, start getting out there, and start questioning. Be curious. That's the best thing to do. And the nice thing is that when you can identify plants like the common ones that grow in broad areas of the United States or grow broadly across North America, then you can actually, you know, identify things that maybe even grow down in North Carolina or places like that. So yeah, really good question. Just start. Just start and start talking about it. Start asking questions. be excited, because it's pretty neat when you figure out you can go forage an awful lot of your own medicine. Let's see here. Can you talk about when to harvest Tulsi? And I'm going to say that's going to depend on where you are and where, how you're growing it. But you basically, it's the leaves that you want. I cut personally, this is what I do with Tulsi. I treat it like basil. It is a basil. It's an ossamum. So what I would do is just when you've got lots of leaves and before it goes to flower, you can go ahead and harvest it at that time. You can grow it in pots. It's harder to get a good harvest out of a pot, I've noticed. Or if your weather conditions aren't the greatest. Like, for here in Idaho, Tulsi's really tough to grow. But I would definitely just treat it like basil. Oh yeah, Rose says, since I lived in the desert, do you have any suggestions for a foraging book for deserts? Yes, Rose, Michael Moore, well, first Peterson Guides, they'll have one for the desert, they should. But Michael Moore, he spent a lot of time in look for the one called Foraging in the Canyon West. I'm sorry, I'm gonna push myself up here, I'm getting in the sun. Canyon West, or Medicinal Plants of the Canyon West is one, and he wrote that. It's very, very good. And there's another one that he wrote too, more for the desert areas. Yep, Bernadette says, even in my backyard was chickweed and miner's lettuce. It's amazing what's in your yard. Even if you live in the city, they're there, It's pretty cool. Um, Let's see, Faye says, I made some dandelion salve. It turned out amazing. I haven't seen any dandelions around here. So hopefully I'll make some again soon. My mom's friend found it and it helped her for her arthritic pain. Awesome. Yeah, you guys, if you have friends who live in certain areas, or, especially down in the desert areas, I often have to reach out to people who, live in other areas of the desert. So like chaparral is an example. Chaparral grows really, really well out in Boulder City, which is a little town that's outside of Vegas. So if I had a friend in Boulder City, I would be saying, hey, can you please gather this at this time of year? And I knew when the buds would be, blooming, and please gather me some. And then I would pick it up, or they'd ship it, or I would just make a drive out there. But oh, nice. Manette's going to go foraging at her son's. She asked him not to mow his 2 acres this time. I know. It's so frustrating when you know a medicinal plant's hanging around and somebody mows it. I know that from firsthand experience. So, anyway, you guys, it was fun today, I think, talking about this. I hope it was helpful, and I don't see any other questions. And, oh, this is Tor's wife, Laura. If you and your friend from Julietta, oops, let me go over here. This is Tor's wife, Laura. If you and your friend from Julietta are in the area, you're welcome to forage our 400-acre canyon between Troy and Julietta. Wow, that would be awesome. That would be so amazing. If you could write to me, it's healingharvesthomestead@gmail.com. That would be really great. It would be fun to get some foraging friends together, and everybody should do that in your areas where you are. Find some friends and go pack a lunch and just go have a good time with it. Yeah. And Tor, I'm wondering, do you know Karen with Reverie Farm? She's got a little herb farm there in Troy. And I've never visited her farm. I keep meaning to reach out and ask her, hey, can I come out and visit? But I've had to purchase some things before, and I love buying her herbs because they're such good quality. So I'm wondering if you might know her. All right, you guys. I guess we'll sign off and get going with the day. Got a lot to do today. And, oh, Bonnie Forte asked on the group question, how to dilute a very strong smelling essential oil blend that I already made in a roller bottle specifically for assistance with depression. Oh goodness, that, you know what? I actually just made a video about correcting essential oil dilution mistakes, and it's not out yet, Joe. Joe hasn't gotten to the editing of it yet. I don't know how to edit. Otherwise, I would do it. I have no clue. It's beyond me. But I can just sit here and talk. I can't do anything else. But I will tell you this, Bonnie, as far as fixing an over diluted carrier, best thing to do is to pour it out. If you've got a little beaker that's got the milliliters on it, I would go ahead and just know that a roller bottle is generally 10 milliliters, okay? So if you go ahead and double that to 20 milliliters, add a little more of the carrier oil, you're gonna be cutting that dilution in half, and that might get you to where you want to be. So just kind of, you're gonna have to do a little math with that, but it's not hard. You just add more carrier oil. And honestly, if the oils are safe, just play it by ear. You know, once you get it to where you feel comfortable with it, and you can tell by the scent and how strong it is, and depending on what you're using it for, it could be just fine, okay? Exploring God's creation. After looking for an easy recipe with essential oil roller bottle, and can diffuser blends be used in a roller bottle if carrier oil is added? I'm having a hard time when I try to make my own blends. You know what? I'm actually, this is on my huge long list. I really want to make a blending course. For people, because there are a lot of different ways you can blend, and it's really neat to know what those are. The thing is that when you have a diffuser blend, you know, what you're doing is you're getting the benefits of the essential oils via the vapor, okay? Hi mama, my cat's here now. The thing is that some essential oils that you might use freely in a diffuser blend, like bergamot, for example, or lemon, they might be phototoxic on the skin. So you really need to look at the topical safe to use versus the vapor safe to use. Okay. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much for reposting from the group. I appreciate that. The thing is, I'll say with essential oil recipes, I would just start out with already pre-made recipes that are created by a person that you trust. And there are a lot of really good aromatherapists out there who are trustworthy and have good things to say. Be sure that they have a certification in aromatherapy. And I would say, if there's a level 1 certification for aromatherapy, those people need to have, I think it's like 300, is it 300 hours or 100 hours? It's not very much time. It's a very lightweight certification. Level 2 is very heavy duty. There's hours and hours, hundreds of hours, and there is also anatomy and physiology involved, and chemistry. Level 3 is not as many hours as the level 2, but you dive deeply into the therapeutics and the chemistry. So I would say, if you're going to find a trustworthy source, be sure that they are certified at level 2 or above, and and their recipe should be just fine, okay? Let's see here. Yeah, and the other thing I want to say about, I just was just reading a comment about the essential oil blends coming out too strong. We all have our different sensitivities to the blends. That's why it's always wise to start with a lower dilution. I happen to have a very high tolerance to the essential oils, and for myself, whether it's therapeutic use or scent use, I can go with a higher dilution usually. Where I know, like, I have a friend of mine, my goodness, a 0.2% dilution, if it's anything above that, she's like, can't handle it. So we're all different, and that's why it's very good to start small and build up. Okay. Oh, Ida says, let's see. There are also Falcon Guides by Christopher Nierges, Foraging Arizona, and Charles Kane, Sonoran Desert Food and Plants, Wild Edible Plants of Arizona. Thank you, Ida. Awesome, awesome ideas to go look at. And the Merry Irish Books goods are great. Oh, good. All right. Well, lots of new ideas in there. Yes, Amy. Okay, so sometimes I'm gonna cover my face here. I wish I have blue eyes, and my eyes just don't do well in the sun. It's like I don't have my sunglasses out here, so I'm sorry. I'm like, herbs have medicinal actions, okay, or herbs that have medicinal actions can interact definitely with other herbs that have medicinal actions. Okay, it just depends on what they are and what they're doing. In fact, that's one of the things that we take into consideration when we formulate an herbal remedy for a person. We think about, well, is this going to synergize or potentiate the medicinal actions of these herbs? And sometimes we want that. Another thing we might think about is like if we're using a very drying herb for a specific reason, like golden seal, for example, which is great for a topical antibiotic and even for respiratory issues. But if we're using an herb like that has a harsh effect on our body, adding an opposite acting herb like marshmallow leaf or root can be very, very helpful in making it more gentle so that your body still has all of the benefits of the golden seal, but it is being the harsh effect is being counteracted by that marshmallow. So that's an example there. And then there are some herbs that shouldn't be used together because they just completely counteract each other. So milk thistle and St. John's wort, for example, not a good mix and match. And there are others too. This is where you just need to start learning the plants. And guys, here's where I'm going to plug the tribe, although I think a lot of you here on this chat are probably in the tribe already. But join the Confident Herbalist tribe. It's really a good way to learn herbs. It's really a good way to get support, a lot of support for herbs and essential oils. And it's a really great place to be. Massive amount of content, more is coming, and lots of help and support in there. And we do weekly chats that are just for us. And we focus on things like formulation and, helping with specific health needs, supporting our bodies in the correct ways with herbs. Oh, Carla says, yeah, she has the same problem with the blue eyes. Yeah. Let's see. All right, you guys. That's the questions. I'm going to go ahead and sign off. It was a pleasure talking with you today. Thank you so much for being here. I really, really appreciate it. And spread the word. If you like this and you know other people who might like this, I know I'm kind of in a weird niche, a weird topic area of herbalism. But I really feel strongly that people need to start learning this right now. It's going to become too late to learn herbalism at some point. I feel very sure. So please spread the word, bring people into the fold, and let's all start helping each other and learning together, okay? All right, I'm going to sign off. Thank you for being here, and I love you guys. Bye-bye.